Art Lewis Show. Nice to have you with us. A beautiful, beautiful day outside. We understand that our closest to the pin at the Sawmill Golf Club, toward the end, someone got 4 foot 2 inches, and that was the closest to the pin for the day. So they'll have a foursome in our Winvitational Golf outing coming up on the 24th of June at Sawmill. Now, here's the outline of the morning, if you will. We're going to have open phones this hour, 989-752-6111. At 10 o'clock, we have two folks coming in from Northwood University to tell us all about artificial intelligence. I can't wait for that one, because they're going to talk about what it is today, what it can be, and what the future looks like as we live with artificial intelligence. And then at 11 o'clock on Focus, Roof Max with Ben. Ben will be along to chat with us about that great roof product. So that's what's ahead this morning. But again, it's open phones at 989-752-6111. A couple of things to talk about this hour. The mysterious pricing of gasoline. There was a story in the Free Press this morning that gas prices dipped below $3 in some Michigan cities as OPEC boosted oil production. At the gas station I use in this area, which is normally one of the lower ones, went up to $3.39, and I'm going, what happened? I don't know. The mystery continues. Canadian wildfires creating some air quality issues. We'll try and touch on that, time permitting. And more, but it's more fun just to chat with you this morning and see what's on your mind. So we're going to begin doing that. And we start with Scott in Saginaw. Scott, good morning.
Hey, morning, Art. I wanted to start in on a phone call I made to you here maybe about a month ago when Governor Shapiro's house was firebombed. And Governor Shapiro's response was he's going to use taxpayer dollars to make his home for him and his family more secure and safe. Since then, I want to know, what have the Democrat Party done to make Jews safe? We've had 2 of them gunned down outside the embassy here last week, I think in New York. We had some more of them where some maniac that Joe Biden allowed into the country and then allowed to remain in the country try to burn Jews. Where are the Democrats? I mean, they're not passing any bills. All they're doing is fighting tooth and nail to keep penises in the girls' locker.
All right, well, hang on a minute. All right, you've said that before, and we got that one. But hold on a second here. Hold on a second. Democrats aren't passing any bills because they don't have the power to pass the bills. They don't have control of Congress.
They can still put bills up.
They could put them up, yes. I agree with you there, but you said pass bills, and they can't.
Yep. Josh Shapiro can pass bills. He's the governor of the state.
Well, he could. No, he could suggest bills. He could suggest bills. All of them. I listen. I understand what you're saying, but they don't do it alone.
The Democrats aren't doing anything to make the Americans safe. Only themselves. They're not trying to make you safe. They're not trying to make me safe. They're only making themselves safe. It wasn't until Nancy Pelosi's husband was attacked by some lunatic to where then they decided, well, we need security for officials. That's what I'm saying. They don't do anything for us anymore. These people have lost their way, and anybody who is supporting the Democrat Party, I'm going to say you're a lunatic because all you're supporting is penis.
All right, good. Yeah, you said that. Stop saying that. You've said that enough now.
Well, am I wrong?
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying stop saying it.
Well, how else do you say it, Art?
Well, you've said it. You know how many times do you have to say it? And what do you gain out of repeating it over and over and over and over again?
Because I want the Democrats to hear how
you already said it. They heard it.
Is. Here I was in the men's bathroom the other day at a retail store. And some woman must have been in there and had her period all over the toilet.
All right, that's enough.
And then left.
That's enough. Goodbye. I've heard enough of that, Scott. All right. And let's talk to Mark in Midland. Mark, good morning.
Good morning, Art. How are you, sir?
Hey, we're doing well, thanks.
Hey, the last 2 days, Ukraine bombed Russia the other day inside, and they went inside deep. I have some chatter on my news feeds that's telling me that Russia is planning, Vladimir Putin's planning an attack on Ukraine. He's telling the people he wished them today, anybody that's left there, either Ukraine or Russia. My thoughts and prayers, I think he put on there, will be with you. So are we prepared for the next couple of days, potentially, of something really bad happening?
I don't know if we are. Question is Ukraine. This whole thing is long out of hand. I mean, you know, they were sitting down at the peace table, and just before that is when all these strikes took place. And now Russia has told Kiev and told Ukraine they would only agree to end the war if Kiev gives up big chunks of territory and accepts limits on the size of its army. Now, if I'm Russia right now and I just lost a third of my bombers because this small little country they think they can overrun just blew the heck out of my airfields, I might be looking for a different answer.
When you have a past history of Putin, I think
that's the problem.
I think he's going to light that territory up, in which we haven't seen in a long time.
Well, he's certainly going to try, but he's in a position. It's interesting. Who knows how he thinks? I mean, I don't know. It's beyond me. You would think that with the losses he's suffered, both from the military standpoint of his troops, and now some of the devastation being rained down on him by the Ukraine, even though he can do it back to the Ukraine, do either of them win anything when this is over? And I think what's going to end, the way it's going to end up, I think, and this is just my guess, Russia will keep the Crimea because they already had it. Mm-hmm. And then they'll get on with it from there. But I don't see them gaining a lot of other territory in the Ukraine. Not right now, anyway.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
But who knows? I mean, really, everybody thought when this initially happened a few years ago, everybody thought, well, the Ukraine's going to buckle right under it. The little guy against the big guy. Didn't happen.
Right.
Didn't happen. Yeah. So we'll see.
You got time to change the topic one more? Or you got
go ahead. Sure, go ahead.
Oh. Hey, so I was tooling around thinking the other day with AI. AI is supposed to be the greatest, most intelligent type piece of feature out there. What I'd like to see is AI come up with a restaurant called Emotional Mood Meal, where you put your hand on the table. AI would sense what kind of mood you're in, prepare you a meal that's uplifting, energetic.
I will.
So no menus in the restaurant.
You don't have a choice, huh?
You don't have a choice. You put your hand on there, and it automatically creates a fabulous meal you've never had before.
Let me carry it one step further.
Okay.
In the middle of that table is a screen. I put my hand down, it senses my mood, and instead of telling me what I'm going to eat, it offers me choices to meet my mood. That way, at least I can pick food I like.
Yeah, but it would already know that with the sensing. It would know your allergies. It would know your food allergies. It would know everything and prepare.
I'll tell you what. Next hour, I'll ask my guests if that's possible. It sounds like it is today. All right, Mark. Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye.
We're going to take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk to Al and Carol when we return.
Don't get burned by
All right, we're back with you here on WSGW. Back to the phones. Al is in Bay City. Good morning, Al.
Good morning, Arthur. I just wonder if there's anything you can think of that we could do to get the governor to open up that date for that Senate seat.
Nope.
I think people other than stop paying our taxes, put pressure on her so we can have representation.
It's been tried.
I think it's ridiculous she will set a date for that election.
Well, it's been tried to put pressure on her. It hasn't worked. It's going to be interesting to see because apparently there's a couple of other legislators that are retiring out, and we'll see if she calls elections for them. There's two reasons that I can think of that she won't do it. One, she's afraid she'll lose that seat, which would mess up her Senate count. And two, I think she might want to use it as a negotiating tool in the budget talks. Those are the only two things I can think of. And she hasn't budged on it. I mean, there's been lots of pressure from Republicans in the House and the Senate. Organizations have sent letters, have protested, and we don't get a budge. So I don't have a lot of hope.
There isn't anything that you can think of that we could put pressure on her?
Nope, it's already been tried.
Yep. Well,
she's got the final say.
It's really too bad because a lot of people would like to see that election on that seat.
I want representation. Absolutely. I live in that district. I want representation. I love the idea of withholding half our taxes since we only have half representation. I wouldn't try it, though, because I suspect it wouldn't be a good outcome.
Well, hopefully something's going to happen soon.
Yeah, well, don't hold your breath.
Okay.
All right, Al. Take care. Let's go out to Sheridan and we'll talk to Carol this morning. Good morning, Carol.
Good morning. A couple fun things and maybe one that ain't so fun or something to think about. One thing, we had the cops from Cops and Donuts.
Yep.
And it's a really, really fun place for people to stop. You know, it's a nice respite to stop for a few minutes going up or down.
Yep.
From the Bubba, it was really cool. He signed a book for me for our daughter. They've got a lot of books in there, and it's just not all sweet things. And it's a fun place.
It is. It's a fun place, and it's such a unique concept in a way. I mean, you know, and you if you're in the gift side of it, where they got the little mock-up jail and all that stuff, it's fun. They've done a good job.
Kids like it. Even teenagers kind of, you know, because they're really hard to, you know, you're going up north and they're pooped, you know, and it's kind of fun. And another thing, you know, people's got to realize, you know, that Trump went bankrupt 4 times. And so this is kind of unsettling to me, how he's running things. Does that bother anybody?
Well,
no.
You know,
don't bother that he's making all this money in everything that us poor little people are losing so much of our savings and so much of our things is all being drained and everything is so darn much. But he's making all this money and it don't bother anybody.
It didn't all happen under his administration. Understand that.
Oh, I know, but Biden and Obama are gone. Trump has been in there for 6 months
they're gone, and he's struggling with what they left him. The same way they claimed he left them stuff, he's struggling with what they left him now. Works both ways. But, you know, the bottom line is I'm disappointed in the fact that they bring on Doge to get rid of government waste. They didn't find nearly as much as they thought, and they're still doing it. That's not over yet. But then this big, beautiful bill supposedly wipes all that out. I mean, you know, it's gonna increase the debt substantially. Now, the other side of that is, do I want to see tax increases? No, they get enough of my money now. So I'd like to see these cuts stay in place as they have. What I want to see them do is cut spending, and they don't seem to be inclined to do that.
Well, and like this place that they've closed this place where these kids go and they don't have a really, really good rate, but they just walked in there now. Everybody don't know what to do. Instead of going in and really checking out and figuring out some of this stuff, they just slam it. You know, the way it's done is ridiculous. I think but you know, like I say, he's making. And where does all this gold come from in the White House now? Everything is gold now. Who's giving him that gold, or where is he getting all that gold?
What gold are you talking about?
Oh, you watch whenever they're pitching him now in the office. All this stuff is gold now. He loves gold. He told about all this gold, that he's changing all this stuff to gold. You watch and see when they have an interview with him.
A lot of it may be his own personal stuff. I don't know.
Well, find out for me. Well,
I'll ask
just
him next
think-
time I talk to him.
Yeah, I know. I can still hear. I just seen you just bubble right up when he called you. That just made your day.
I didn't treat him any differently, and he didn't treat me any. I will say this: when I talked to him, the 2 times that I've interviewed him, he's been very nice and respectful. So I can't complain about that. And he
But he
answered
thinks
the
you
questions.
agree with him.
Well, I did agree. I agree with him on his policies, but I don't like him as an individual.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, that's
Well, his
just me.
policies is kind of going down the drain too, honey.
Well, we'll see. All right.
Well, just remember he went bankrupt 4 times, and
So what?
that just really makes you feel.
Well,
because they're telling what a great
And I don't.
businessman
Where the
he
4?
is.
I didn't know it was 4 times. I don't know where that came from.
Well, you look her up.
All right.
Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. And we'll talk to Sean in Bay City. Good morning, Sean.
Hey, good morning, Art. I wasn't going to call up today, but again, I hear so much fake moral outrage, just like your last caller. Trump went bankrupt 4 times, Art. Well, did he shower with his daughter when she was like 12? I mean, I didn't. The comparisons we can make, they're just so ridiculous. They're just people that are in business in the highest levels go bankrupt, sweetheart.
Yep.
That's what they do.
They do a lot.
They use the law to their advantage. You understand that? All people do that, sweetheart. Not just Trump.
Yep.
It's
quite common.
Right. And as far as Scott there using some terminology that is correct, the reason he repeats it is because if it disgusts you, not you personally, but whoever may be listening or whatever, that's the point. This is the terminology they're using, so why shouldn't we use it?
Well, you use it once, maybe twice, but by the 4th or 5th time, you've overdone it.
Well, did the lady?
You've made your. Here's the thing, Sean.
Did she overdo it by 4 times bankrupt? I mean, she said it like 5
she did it.
times, right?
No, she didn't say it that many times. But the fact is, if she would have kept on, I would have stopped her. Here's the thing.
hear you.
Here's the thing, Sean, and this is something people have to realize. There's free speech, and there's privileged speech.
Oh, absolutely.
This show is not about.
on your show.
This show is not about free speech. This
No.
show is about privileged speech. It's the privilege of
Correct.
being on this show, and if you want to
Yeah.
stay on the show, you follow the rules.
Absolutely,
Nobody's
yeah.
stopping you from saying anything, but
No,
in this case,
I didn't mean it that way.
no, I know, and I know that. I know that. I'm just trying to explain. I'm just trying to explain that after the 5th or 6th time of saying something, and I figured, all right, it's been heard. Time for me to move on.
To switch it up here a little bit, do you know that in Section 301 of the, now I'm not going to get this totally correct because I was doing some research and stuff and I should have wrote it down and I didn't, but it has to do with trade clauses and tariffs and things like that. In Section 301 of that, it says directly that the president has the ability when a country is not playing by the rules,
Correct.
essentially totally screwing you over.
Yep.
He's got every right to do
Yep.
what he wants. That's why the Supreme Court, and these people, they call up, like I say, this last, they're just
Well,
deranged.
here you go.
I never thought we would have had to have a country where we had to do this.
Yeah.
and that.
Let me end with this, Sean. If you follow that, you mentioned 301. There are several different sections that have come into play since about the 1920s.
Yeah.
And each one of those gives the president authority to levy tariffs for a variety of reasons.
Correct.
And one of them has to do with how we're treated by other countries. One of them has to do with protecting industry. There's a multitude of what Congress ceded to the president. Even though the Constitution gives Congress the right to levy tariffs, Congress chose to give the president certain rights because of conditions in the country. You're absolutely right.
You got to be able to make decisions without having to take every single decision and thing you make in front of a judge.
Yep.
That's fascism. That's what these people don't
Yeah.
understand. One
right.
judge out there. Well, no, seriously.
No,
when
no,
one
I understand.
for political reasons
I'm not cutting you off.
stops the will of the people, that's fascism.
All right, I'm not stopping you for what you're saying. I'm stopping you because my clock says I got to take a break.
Have a great day.
You too, Sean. Take care. Bye-bye now. We'll be back.
The next generation of
Back with you on the Art Lewis Show, and let's get back to our phones. Jim is in Wheeler. Good morning, Jim.
Morning, Art.
Morning.
You know, your brakes are so long, us old farts could lose our train of thought.
Sorry about that, but it's radio.
I hear you. But you said something about free speech and privileged speech.
Right.
Somebody needs to tell these PBS stations that. There's a couple of them suing the Trump administration because of he's violating their free speech.
Yeah.
They don't realize that that's not free speech, that they're sucking on the government tit.
Yep.
It's a privilege that they're even there.
Yep, absolutely. I say this all the time. I tell people when I talk about free speech, you show me where in the Constitution where it says you're guaranteed an audience, or where it says there are no consequences. It doesn't say either of those. So free speech is free within reason, but it's not. You know, when you call a radio show, for example, you're not exercising free speech. It's privileged speech because we give you the privilege of being on the radio.
Yes, you do.
It's different.
And we appreciate it, too.
Well, listen,
we do.
I love it, and I want to hear a variety of opinions. I don't want to stifle anybody because of their opinion. I may stifle them because of their language. I may stifle them because they say it over and over and over and over and over again. But I want to hear other opinions. I want to hear other thoughts.
Yes, I understand that. That thing is you've cut me off a few times because I can rant.
Sorry,
but the thing. Well, the thing about it is, when people start talking about things that they really don't understand, it irritates me. When Trump's a good man, and Trump's got nothing but good intentions for this country. He isn't like the last couple of presidents we had before. Everything he does, I believe personally, sometimes it may look a little screwy, but in the long run, it all comes out for the best for us.
Well, and you said something very important. You believe it personally, and that's really what it's all about. You choose what you want to believe. And you hope you're right. That's the way I feel about it. Anyway.
Me too. And there was a time when I was in service, but I'll tell you, there was a couple of presidents there that were commander-in-chiefs that I would not want my son or daughter ever want to either of them serving under those people.
Well, we thank you for your service.
Yeah, that's all right. It was what we did back then.
All right.
So,
Jim, good talk to you. You too. Thanks. Bye-bye now. I will take let's take a break, and then we'll come back. We'll get to Carl and Kent. When we return, let me chat with you about McDonald Ford in Freeland, where they anticipated what tariffs might do to the auto industry. So they stocked their lot with tariff-free automobiles. McDonald Ford in Freeland has all of these wonderful tariff-free vehicles, and they have others en route. But not only are they tariff-free, because Ford at the same time is offering employee pricing for everyone. You will pay the same price as Ford employees. Say you're a Chrysler or import buyer. Well, maybe you'd like to consider a Ford because you will get the lowest price offered. And Chevy truck buyers can now consider getting into a Ford F-150, the best-selling pickup in America, also at employee pricing. So you see, now is the right time to visit McDonald Ford, M47 in Freeland, for the best selection and the lowest possible price. And by the way, other tariff-free cars they have are on their pre-owned lot, and they have some wonderful late-model vehicles for you to look at. Don't let tariffs prevent you from getting the vehicle of your choice at a price you can afford. Visit McDonald Ford in Freeland today. Remember, tariff-free and employee pricing for everyone, and Ford has announced that employee pricing will continue through July 6th.
Give the gift of health this
Weekdays 5:30 to 9 on WSGW.
All right, we're back with you here on WSGW, the Art Lewis Show, and in the time remaining, we'll take as many calls as we can. This is Carl in Saginaw. Good morning, Carl.
Good morning, Art. A few minutes ago, I believe it was Gene was talking about Trump's bankruptcies. Your next caller called in and, accused her of fake outrage, but he also referred to her as sweetheart a number of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Art,
it's a little
really
disrespectful.
stuck in my craw. It is. It's talking down to someone as if, they're not smart enough to understand, what the adults are saying. And I just wish we could do without that kind of, that kind of speech. And as far as the bankruptcies that Trump has had, and you said something to the effect, well, who cares? Well, I think who cares are probably the workers who never got paid and the suppliers for Trump's projects that never got paid. Trump declares bankruptcy, he walks away, and he's still living in a country club and has his own private jet. But other people, pay the price for his, the decisions he made.
That's true of every bankruptcy, isn't it? No matter what your political party, no matter what.
Yes, but
so there you go.
Could do that. He could do that to our economy, and I bet he would walk away just fine. He would walk away with his pockets just bulging.
Well,
and you had.
All right, let's stop there for a minute. He alone can't do that to our economy. Let's be honest about it. He doesn't have all the votes. He only has a voice and the ability to propose, but he doesn't have the ability to pass.
No, he can impose these tariffs. You just said a minute ago he has the power to impose these tariffs.
Right,
at
absolutely.
His will.
How does that bankrupt the country?
Well, it throws us into a trade war that throws us into a depression.
Or the countries come to the table and we settle. We haven't seen the end of that yet.
Our interest rates.
We haven't seen the end of it yet.
Going up on bonds. Our interest is going up right now, Art.
Well,
because we have to pay more. Because we have to pay more to attract capital to sell our bonds right now.
Well, gee, now whose fault is that? Is just Trump's, or is that the Democrat and Republican administrations that came before him?
Well, there's a lot.
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad you said that.
Big bill. It's also this big bill that
which
you just
I am not totally in favor of.
I
am not totally in favor of.
They're going to have to raise the debt limit so that they can raise the debt. Part of this bill is raising the debt limit.
Yeah, and you know what one Democrat, Elizabeth Warren, said? She'd like to see that go away altogether so there wouldn't be any need to raise the debt limit. It would automatically be okay.
Well, we don't go by it anyway now.
Yeah, they keep raising it as they need it. I know. Listen, I'm not denying that. I don't like the debt. I've said that for years.
Okay, well, then they got to get serious about cutting spending, not just cutting benefits for the poor.
Now, maybe you got to tell that to the Democrats because they're the ones that do most of the spending, although the Republicans have had their hand in it too.
Yeah, let's look at the Pentagon budget if you want to start cutting spending.
Why would you start there?
Because they didn't cut anything there. You telling me there's no waste and abuse